What's up, everybody? How we doing? Matt Modi here with OddsJam, another video on my solo YouTube channel. So appreciate everybody who is tuning in. In this video, I'm just going to give you my favorite anytime touchdown score bets for the Super Bowl. So I'm going to go through the odds and everything, pull up the odds from every major sportsbook and where their pricing plays at. What I'm going to be doing is giving you my favorite pick for each team. So favorite player on the Eagles, favorite player on the Chiefs to score a touchdown. And then I'm going to give you some value sleeper picks as well. All in all, giving you 4 to 5 touchdown score bets to lock in for the Super Bowl. So right off the bat, the Super Bowl does have a pretty high total. As it stands right now, the total is at like 50, 50 and a half, depending on where you look. I will say one thing that is concerning towards points being scored is the referee matchup in this game. So basically the ref, Carl Sheffers, that is reffing this game, is notorious for calling a tighter game and calling more penalties than the average ref. So in his last 12 games, 11 of them have gone under. He reffed the Super Bowl. I forget which one. I think the Bucs won against the Chiefs. That one went under. So he notoriously has his games go under, which obviously hurts the scoring. But obviously there are going to be touchdowns that are going to be scored. Looking at the matchup itself, if we take out the little bit of nervousness about the refs, I like points to be scored. I locked in either a video on my YouTube channel or the main OddsJam one. I locked in the over, I think I got it at 49.5. So when I look at the matchup, I like points to be scored. So I do think that there are going to be a ton of touchdowns in this game. So I'm going to be looking at all of the odds and where sportsbooks price odds at. So my favorite player for the Eagles to score a touchdown, and this is going to be chalk. I'm not pretending to have the most unique thoughts with my favorite ones. They're favorites for a reason. It's Jalen Hurts. This one's pretty simple. He has scored a touchdown in both of the Eagles' playoff games so far, despite being a little bit, despite not having needed to do much. Eagles won their first playoff game 38-7. They won their second playoff game 31-7. I don't think they'll win this game 24-7, but even in those games that were blowouts, Hurts scored a rushing touchdown. So I think that he is, obviously in this game, it's the playoffs, it's the Super Bowl. You're not holding out anything. Even if he's a little bit banged up, he's going to be running. He's going to be taking on contact. So I think there are 3 scenarios in which gives Hurts the option to score. Number 1, in the red zone, designed QB runs. Happens all the time. We saw this a lot in the Eagles season where Hurts takes the snap and then directly runs up the middle with the defense kind of parting, with linebackers chasing players in motion and stuff. So a designed run. We've also seen him score a lot on scrambles themselves. It was called a designed pass play. Hurts ends up scrambling and scoring. And then, of course, the cheat code, the QB sneak at the 1-yard line. Eagles have like a 99% success rate with the QB sneak. They might change the rules because of it, but those 3 options make Hurts a very big threat to score. You can get him at plus 110 odds at Betfred is the best offer, depending on your sportsbook, or your state. If Betfred is offered, if it's not offered, you can get it for plus money on FanDuel. So, I like the value of Hurts scoring a lot. Being able to get it for some sort of plus money does have a lot of value. I will say, looking at the matchup, I do like Hurts's rushing yards over as well. Obviously, that's not what we're talking about in this video, but I think he's going to have a good game throwing the ball. Running the ball. The Chiefs have been weaker towards rushing quarterbacks. Now, obviously, the Super Bowl, all hands are off, or all bets are off, I should say. The concern is the Chiefs playing a lot of zone defense and not man, so they always have an eye on the quarterback, so they send a lot of zone blitzes, which has given Hurts trouble in his career. The Eagles are going to have answers for it, and then even if not, they can rely on that running game. It's almost a cheat code for the Eagles. So a lot of value on Hurts to score. Next up, we are looking at another, and this is the Chiefs player, another chalk. Give me Travis Kelce to score. You can get that best offered at minus 114 at Caesars. Caesars is available everywhere in which sports betting is legal, so hopefully there are no issues with people being able to bet this on Caesars. It's very clearly the best offered line at -114 in the 20s and 30s across the board everywhere else. I don't need to give a ton of analysis on Travis Kelce. He's incredible. He scored twice in the Chiefs' first playoff game. He scored again in the second playoff game against the Bengals. You know, he came into that game questionable to play with back spasms. He played phenomenally, and he scored. And I always, you know, when you watch the Chiefs, especially when they get in the red zone, you always wonder, how the heck does he get so open? He's a player that everybody has their eye on, the defense, the coaching staff, and he still is able to get wide open. And there's a lot of reasons why for it, the majority of which have to do with the phenomenal coaching job and play designing of Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy and that Chiefs offensive coaching staff. They're so creative when it comes in the red zone, both of finding ways to get him open and then in general, just finding ways to get the ball in his hands. And then the other side of it is the chemistry that he has with Patrick Mahomes. That touchdown against the Bengals was not the designed route he was supposed to run. He was supposed to run a corner route to the corner of the end zone. He noticed that the defense was shading him there, so he cut off his route in the middle of the field. Mahomes noticed that. Mahomes hit him, touchdown. There's no defense for that. There's just not. And while I do think the Eagles are going to try to do as much as they can, sell out to stop Kelce, I just don't necessarily think they're going to be successful, to be honest with you. They don't have a ton of double team type of coverage in their secondary, so you wonder how they're even going to do it. And even so, even if they do, he could still pop open in the red zone. It could be one of those games against the Raiders where Kelce had like 25 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. He had 4 red zone touchdowns. I'm not predicting 4. I just need 1 for this to hit. But I do think that is really good value for Kelce to score. In fact, we can get it -114 where every other book is in the -120s. In terms of other sleeper value players to score, I do like one of the Chiefs' backup tight ends to score as well. Now, there's the options. There's like 3 of them. There's Justin Watson, there's Jody Fortson, and there is, where is it? There is Noah Gray and like Blake Bell. There's a ton of different options. I settled on Justin Watson mostly as a value play. Just look at the odds, first of all. That's the most important thing. Offered at +950 at FanDuel. The next closest book is $75, or excuse me, 125 cents lower at +825. And then we get into like the 600s, 300s. And the Chiefs, the reason why I like, it's almost a dart throw with one of their backup tight ends. The reason why I like Justin Watson is because the Chiefs play a lot of 3 tight ends on the field with their offense. And that's actually a positive strategy for them in terms of how to go against the Eagles defense. The Eagles like to play their 5-man fronts, and then either they're going to do that and then the Chiefs will be able to pass on them, or if the Eagles don't do their 5-man fronts, their 5-man fronts, the Chiefs will be able to run on the Eagles. And the Eagles' preferred style of defense is those 5-man fronts. And if the Chiefs can pass out of their 13 3 tight end personnel, which they can have the advantage because you're going to have a player like Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat for the Eagles drop into coverage. Now, they're not going to drop into coverage against Kelce or any of the receivers. It would be against one of the backup tight ends. So Justin Watson at +950, I mean, I just like the value there. I think that's really good. Getting him at +950 when you compare the odds of every other sports book, the value is there. So that's one dart throw play for the Chiefs. One I liked for the Eagles is also on FanDuel is Kenneth Gainwell. So you can also get him on FanDuel, best offered at +360. Closest books, Fox Bet's close at +350. The rest of the books +310, and then we're into the 200s. Kenny Gainwell, he's gotten a lot of love, at least in local Philly media, because of how well he has played in the playoffs. He's phenomenal against the Giants. He was phenomenal against the 49ers. And he actually leads the Eagles in red zone touches in the playoffs. Now, the Eagles have been dominating in both of their games. So they're not giving Sanders his full complement of snaps, but Gainwell is still getting quality touches in the red zone. And not only that, he's also been the Eagles' primary 3rd down back. If you look at Sanders. His like snap percentage has gone down in like 7 straight games, something ridiculous like that. And they don't trust Sanders on third downs. They trust Kenny Gainwell. So maybe it's a third down screen pass that he takes to the house. Maybe Sanders gets him down there and he gets tired and they put in Kenny Gainwell. The Eagles more and more have been rotating their 3 running backs with Gainwell, with Miles Sanders, and then with Boston Scott. So Kenny Gainwell at plus 360, when you compare it to the other odds, as I mentioned, is actually really, really good value. And I also like it from a matchup perspective as well. So that's another sleeper pick. That is my 4th pick for you guys today. And my last one that isn't as much of a sleeper is Devontae Smith at plus 180. This is offered at Betfred. If you don't have Betfred, the next best odds aren't close to really as good. 15 cents lower, FanDuel at plus 165. But I did have a tough time deciding between the Eagles receivers, whether it was A.J. Brown or whether it was Devontae Smith. Devontae's got better odds, in this case better in our favor. It's higher payout. And I kind of consider them 50-50 to score in this game. Devontae Smith scored against the Giants in the first playoff game. He had that huge catch on 4th down against the 49ers. I put it in parentheses. Those of you who know, you know. And the way the Chiefs play defense is when Devontae Smith has just been dominating defenses. They play a lot of cover 2. They play a lot of press coverage. But they have their number 1 corner, L'Jarius Sneed. They have him travel with the number 1 receiver, which is A.J. Brown. Now, I've mentioned a couple times that I do like A.J. Brown in this matchup, and I do think he's also capable of having a good game. And I would not hate an A.J. Brown anytime touchdown score bet as well. I just think the value is a little bit better on Devontae Smith because exactly what I mentioned, the cover 2 press coverage that the Chiefs play, Devontae Smith has just owned. And I don't know, this is probably fool's gold, but I just trust Devontae Smith in a big game. He's had huge games in his career in big games, obviously going back to his Alabama days where I think he set the record for receptions or receiving yards in the first half of a national championship game. He's just the type of player that's always open. And maybe if Hurts's shoulder is still bothering him, even though it shouldn't be at this point, he is more of the player they get that's almost the always open kind of player, the smooth route runner, where A.J. Brown, he's really good at taking the slant patterns, but he's not quite as crisp of a route runner, and he's more of kind of the deep ball, jump ball threat. And more so than Devontae Smith, even though Devontae's really good at contested catches as well. So plus 180 odds, as I mentioned, isn't quite the sleeper of the last 2, but I do like him a lot. And that's going to be it. So I got 5 anytime touchdown score bets for you guys to lock in. I've posted a bunch of stuff on Twitter and on Pickett and on TikTok over the course of the week leading up to the Super Bowl. So make sure if you do see those to lock those in as well. I did have a video come out on the OddsJam YouTube channel talking about my favorite FanDuel boosts or novelty bets in this game, so make sure to check that out. But that's it. So other than that, it would help me out a ton as I try to grow this channel. If you could like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. But that's it. So appreciate everybody watching and have a good one.